My name is Theo Sowah, a student of Penn State Energy and Sustainability Program. This video is just to introduce my audience to the course called Energy and Sustainability Program offered by Penn State. I've been studying this, I've been in this program for the past 4 years, and I might say I really love it. It talks about the environment, the factors that goes to affect our environmental living. Talking about climate change, for instance, our CO2 emissions, and what we can do as a community to find solutions to those problems. We all know currently there's a conference going on in Paris where leaders are talking about what they have to do to contribute in order to mitigate against the effects of climate change. I have been studying this for 4 years, and I have had the chance to talk to people that in their life have been able to do something to help solve this problem. I'm talking about the policy I've been working on called AB 32, which was drafted and passed in California, helping California to fight climate change. I will be talking in detail in my presentation tomorrow, and hopefully we can all come together, put our heads together, and find a way of solving this problem, especially the state of Georgia that don't have any policy in terms for climate change. We have a problem in Georgia, a big problem, and I hope my research and my knowledge in this field of policy drafting and policy implementation, I hope I can bring that training to educate people so that collectively as a family of the world, we can help heal this world and make it a better place for us and our children. I'm so excited that I've been able to come to this job. I'm so excited that I'll be going to the world to present my knowledge, go to somewhere in Africa, educate people on the need to conserve energy, educate people on the need to harness the sun energy to generate electricity, educate people on how to use things sustainably. I'm so excited, and tomorrow I'll be talking about this in my presentation on the policy I've been working to, which is AB 32. So until then, we'll talk tomorrow. Thank you. Ciao.
Hi. Thank you guys for coming. I hope this is our first meeting. I'm glad that people are passionate about what I have been studying for the past 4 years. And this is just a little presentation on something I've been working for. It's called AB 32. AB 32 is a climate policy passed in 2006, and it was signed by then governor of California. So this presentation is it's an analytical presentation, but I'm gonna just try and shorten it so we can get out of here. What is AB 32? AB 32 is California Global Warming Solution Act of 2006. Now, what does it do? What the main objective of AB 32 is to reduce California's greenhouse gases by 25% by 2020. It is the first ever statewide cap on greenhouse pollution. What it does is, Californians have had so many policies that address their primary pollutions. But what AB 32 does is it's statewide, it's implemented statewide. So it's the first ever cap on greenhouse pollution, and it reduces the emission back to 1990 levels. It was signed into law by then Governor Schwarzenegger. These are some of the time frame that AB 32 has gone through. In 2009, ARB, which is the Air Resources Board, adopted a plan indicating how emissions reduction will be achieved from significant sources of greenhouse via regulation, market mechanisms, and other actions. Basically, what they did is they set up a cap and trade system, and they trade emissions. So let's say if you have a factory, you want to emit, you go to the Air Resources Board, and then you buy your emissions that you want to emit. If you don't emit the amount that you bought, you can go on the market and then sell it and then get more money for what you bought. So in other words, you're trying to reduce emissions, and at the same time, you're making money if you don't use your emissions credits that you bought. So this here tells you the transportation of California's largest source of CO2. It's, when you look up over here, you can tell that transportation alone emits 58% of California's CO2. Commercial, 4%. Electricity, 16%. Industrial, 13%. Residential, 9%. So how will AB 32 solve California's CO2 problem? As I said, cap and trade. Firm limit on total greenhouse gas emissions covers 85% of all emissions statewide, including participation in Western climate initiatives. Energy, electricity and energy. Improve appliance efficiency standards and energy efficiency measures. Goal is 33% of energy to come from renewable sources by 2020. Agriculture, more efficient agricultural equipment, fuel use and water use. Transportation, adherence to Pauli standard to achieve reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from motor vehicles. Now, what is Pauli standard? Pauli is the lady, she's the lady that really set in motion the passage of AB 32. I talked to her like 4 times. She was so passionate about this policy that she could not sleep on it when I talked to her. So she initiated the policy and got people together on it, and then they were able to get it passed. When you talk to those ladies, she's so passionate about what it is. Now, even then, after they've achieved the main objectives of AB 32, she went ahead and initiated another policy which will be implemented by 2050 and goes again to reduce California CO2 emissions. Keep going. So these are some of the achievements that AB 32 has already tapped. In 2008, ARB, which is the Air Resources Board, adopted the mandatory public reporting regulations for greenhouse gas to require verification, monitoring, and enforcement. During 2009, ARB staff drafted rule languages to implement its plan and holds a series of public workshops on each measure. 2010, ARB conducts a series of rulemaking after workshops and public hearing to adopt GHG regulations, including rules governing market mechanisms. And ARB approved first update to the climate change scoping plan. Every 5 years, they come together, ARB and most of the implementing departments comes together. And what they do is they sit down to see how far they've come every 5 years. AB 32 in a nutshell is not like very rigid. It tries to make room for maneuver. It tries to make room for companies that maybe are having difficulty in implementing or obeying the rules. So CO2 reductions, what AB 32 is, it takes 34700 metric tons out of the system, that CO2 emissions out of 2020. Just imagine all the CO2 being taken out, what it does for me a year. Some of us are asthmatic. It cleans the air for us. So it's very, very important legislature. And this policy alone, it's like the first in the nation. So many states are trying to emulate this policy. What can they learn from this AB 32? How are they going to implement it in their own states? As a matter of fact, Connecticut is studying this policy now, and Maine is also studying this policy on how to adapt something like that in their states, so that together, we can make an effect in our climate policies. Keep going, please. These are some of the economic benefits. As they continue to implement AB 32, the state of California continued to make money out of it. In 2006, when they started it, this was what they made. Now let's shoot back to 2012. California is almost making $12 billion just from AB 32. The other thing also that it does is shoot to the other side. Savings for residents of California. In 2015, an average Californian is able to save $300 just from AB 32. And it's estimated that by 2030, they'll be saving almost $2,100 from just practicing what we always want to do, live a sustainable life. Control our CO2 emissions by using products that we know really help the environment. That's basically what AB 32 is doing. Keep going. When it comes to health, the AB 32 is able to decrease California's asthmatic patients by 36,000 every year. Every year, 36,000 people are free from asthmatic attacks. And it saves them almost $8 billion in hospital bills. What a policy. A policy that is healing people. A policy that is giving the states money, saving the states money. That is what AB 32 is about. So how can we learn? What can we learn from AB 32 as a group? What can we learn from this? How are we going to use AB 32 as a guide to help us, come together, brood on how we can use the basic of this policy to effect change in Georgia? That is the purpose of this, of what I want to try to do. And I hope I haven't taken so much of the time, but I'm so passionate about this. Because look at what Georgia did this year. Georgia allowed homeowners and businesses to install and pay for solar panels. They can even get financing, for example, by leasing. However, they can only produce enough energy for personal use. Personal. Now, AB 32 allows you to produce as much as you want, and the extra energy, you can sell it into the grid, make money for you and your family. Even with this, it has to be approved by the electric companies. So what is happening is that you are not at liberty to even do anything sustainable. You have to get permission from the electric company. This is Georgia. How are we, as a little group now, how can we change that thinking? How are we going to do that? And I hope this presentation, just a little bit, I'm going to be sending this podcast onto our website also. I hope maybe this little presentation is going to jolt us to start thinking broadly about the way we live. Thank you, guys. Well, I'm going to open the floor for us to discuss this policy too.
Yeah, that is a foot in the door. That
Yeah.
first thing that you have up there, it's a foot in the door. It seems to me when people are already producing electrical and energy, solar you're talking about, right?
Solar, yeah.
Then that they're in a position potentially to form an interest group and an advocacy group in order to be able to produce more and sell it. It's like a foot in the door. That's what I mean. It's a foot in the door. There is some incentive for people to produce their own solar energy, solar-based energy. It's a start.
It's a start, and it's a start out as laudable. But let's also think about it as if I want to install a solar panel on my roof, okay, and I'm spending all this money to buy the panels, and I'm doing it purposely for me, but I also want to make something out of it. Why am I being limited not to sell the extra power that I make?
Seems to me that what it means is when people, you need to have, you need to organize the people that want to do that. So when they go to buy the equipment for solar energy, they're signing something that enables them to be contacted so that they become part of an interest group. Again, that's what I mean by foot in the door.
That's a good idea.
They do have their foot in the door. You just have to make sure, it's like registering to vote.
Oh, yeah.
You have to make sure that they're registered. They are registered sustainable energy users.
Yeah.
That's what you do. So then you form a committee of an organization for registered sustainable energy users. You become
Okay.
an interest group.
That's a very good one.
Get some Republicans in too.
We can also think about, Georgia having passing laws that require that maybe most of the electrical equipment that we use meet a certain standard in terms of electricity. What I'm saying, that alone also can cut down on CO2 emissions. Because let's, for example, if you are using an equipment like this, maybe this generates more power, and you can have another equipment that is newer that takes less power. What we are doing is saving power, and that also says, reducing your CO2 emission and footprints. So, in as much as I really like this because it's just like you said, it's a foot in the door. I think there's more to be done.
Of course.
There's more to be done, and we need to come together. Just like the lady, the email that we got. We have to amalgamate. We have to join together as people that want to do something about our way of life, sustainability-wise. And then when we have that action group, we could cause a change. We can go to the, not the governments, but some of the legislatures, members of Georgia's Congress, and say, look, maybe you are not educated on these things, but these are some of the things that you could do in terms of riders on these bills that the Republicans are passing. Add a rider to it that says, hey.
Yes, as you said before, the need has to be made very clear. Why does this matter? Why should this matter for me?
Right.
That message has to be made really clear. Why is it important? Why should it matter for me, my family? Life is fine. I'm doing okay. But this doesn't, That's true. So, yeah.
I think we should bring it home. I think maybe we should make it very personal. Immediately it becomes very personal to them. I think that they'll start realizing that they need to, do something more in terms of how they pass legislation in the state of Georgia.
I think what the point of what she was trying to say, and to clarify on what you're trying to say too, is that in order to attract what we think are the typical Georgia voters is firstly to connect it to a personal benefit.
Right.
Personal benefit.
Because Georgia is largely Republican, I'm not party bashing, I'm not doing anything to party line.
It's just the fact
but the idea is that the typical, I'm using stereotypes here, but the typical Georgian Republican mentality is, I'm gonna pull myself up by my bootstraps and anyone else is to fend for themselves. something like this might seem almost too social, too socialist, where rather, if you can appeal to the fact that they will be benefiting themselves and their loved ones, that is the foot in the door.
Right.
Because then by the intrinsic nature, they will actually be benefiting the community and the earth as well. But that might not be attractive enough for them to vote in the first place.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, though.
The PR, I mean, the PR, generally speaking, the PR is what I think it would be an important area to focus on, because you're going up against some serious opposition where people actually don't believe the science of climate change. And so I think, how do you deal with opposition like that? Of course, you have to, grow this awareness and disseminate the information in ways that somehow can resonate. You have to deliver facts and, because I think many people probably haven't read the actual documents on climate change. This stuff gets spewed out and they just regurgitate what is essentially not facts, right? So going to the actual primary sources, the documents, looking at and trying to disseminate that, breaking it down into little maybe fact sheets, PR sheets, fact sheets that people in their grocery store, and in your doctor's office, in your dentist's office, you see a little brochure and you say, oh my gosh, and because I think a lot of times, I was speaking to a gentleman who he does home inspections, and we were just talking, and he said, we got into this conversation about climate change, and he was like, oh, don't believe any of that rule about climate change.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how
It
do
was
you,
like,
so
yeah.
how
Right.
do you even start a conversation about this
Yeah.
with someone who won't believe facts or won't subscribe to
I think we're worrying
something
too
that is
much
factual?
I think we're worrying too much about the climate change deniers, because
Well, I didn't want to say it, but that's exactly it.
History is a steamroller. Katrina, sea level rise and all this. We have so many allies on the global climate change front that we really don't have to get upset about influencing the individual person about climate change, but something like health and air quality.
That's
very personal.
That's what
That's
I'm going
personal.
to
Yes.
Yes.
That's
I
personal.
think that's some place where you could really put some
And
leverage.
you can begin the conversation there when it has immediate
Exactly.
personal.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas I don't think we have to fight that fight about climate change. We've got millions of allies when it comes to climate
Hello
change.
everyone. So I finally had a chance to do my presentation, capstone project presentation on AB32. And I might say it was thrilling. I had fun with it, and discussions were very lively and very educated. Um, I'm so happy that it went very well, even though the surrounding were there were a lot of noise. That I was able to get the message across, and we were able to have a lively discussions on the topic and on sustainability and climate change in general. Um, I could tell that there is a need for a continuous discussion on this particular topic that I chose, this particular course that I have taken for the past 4 years. I could tell that, we need to come together. especially those of us in Georgia that are very passionate about climate policies, if there is anyone in Georgia, those of us that are passionate about this, there need to be an action group so that we can come together, put our heads together, and try to um, formulate or map out a strategy as to how we can effect change in terms of policy in Georgia. Um, I just don't know what to say in terms of how we're going to do it, but there's passion for it. There's fire burning within people that wanted to do something about it. Even though members of my group that showed up were very little, I think there were about five of us, but we were able to get something done. We were able to have a lively conversation. We were able to have an intelligent conversation. There were a number of things that were said or the suggestions that were made that I think were very good, and we will be taking it. We will be exploring more of those options in our next meeting, basically in a month from now. Energy and sustainability. This course, I must say, is one of the best out there, and I just want to thank the faculty for giving me a chance to study this course under their leadership. I just want to thank Vera. Thank you, Vera, for everything that you've done. I really appreciate it. I also thank Brandy. Thank you for all that you've done for me. There were days when I felt I had to give up, but you were there to push me up. And I want to thank Karen for your motivational words every day that you say to me. It's so great, and it keeps me going every day. When the things get so tough, I always remember one of the words that you sent me. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and I always look at that light and keep pursuing, or keep pushing up. I should also not forget Professor Yao, my special course or my favorite course, EG 120. I love that course. I want to express my thanks, sincere thanks to him for um, for being able to teach me. I'm not gonna also forget my favorite Ron Santani for all the good things that he's done for me and for teaching me, for making me realize the realize that there's nothing that when I put my mind on it I cannot accomplish. I thank you guys. It's been awesome. It's been great. It's been a journey, and I'm glad that I had you guys to guide me to finish this course. I thank you, and may God bless you guys, and everything that you put your mind on, may the Lord give it to you. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Until we meet again. As a matter of fact, I'm considering taking a master's to Penn State. So hopefully one of these days we will meet. God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.